All right, welcome to the August 2024 Regents Review. This is with all the units, units 1 through 6, and we're going to go through this together. So the first one is, if you read the question, it says this person, the employee, counts the number of people bringing in reusable bags. This person is literally just observing and just counting, like tallying. That is an observational study. As soon as the person is just observing or looking, we know what a survey is. It is not a survey. An experiment divides a group of people into a controlled and an experiment. It's like you're testing for something. And a census is a population count. So in this case, they are counting people, but usually a census is like something that's national, or even like how many people there are in the world, right? So it's a population count of a nation or a town or a city. Okay, that's not what's happening here. So it's observational study. The next one, the graph of y equals 2 to the x minus 4 is positive on which interval? So what we have to do here is we have to look at the graph. So here's the graph right here, right? So if you take a look, I'm just going to go ahead and just sketch it real quick just so you can see what's happening. The graph is looking something like this. Doot. So positive means where is it above 0, right? Where is it here? So this is below 0. This is not, this is negative. The graph is positive on the top above. So we need to figure out what this number is where it starts going positive, right? So if we take a look at it on the graph, we can see that the graph starts to get positive at 2. So if I want to go here to menu to analyze graph, graph and graph trace, I can start looking and seeing what my 0 is. Do you see that? So my 0 is at 2 comma 0. So that's where it starts turning positive, and then it's positive up here. So 2 more above 2, which is what this says, right? It's like x, where x is greater than 2. It's not including 2, because remember at 2, this point is 0. That's not a positive number. That is just 0. So 0 is neither positive nor negative. All right. Question number 3. For this one, I did see that a lot of people had gotten this correct. You're just looking to see which one is equivalent. So you could also do this in a calculator. Just want to show you something. So I went ahead and plugged in the actual question, right? So the question is here. So instead of A, this is the f1 of x. Instead of t, you're going to put the variable x so it can graph. So I typed that in under f1 of x, and then I typed this under f2 of x, and we're looking to see which one is equivalent to. So your x and here's your x, this is your y1, this is your y2. Equivalent means that whatever number is here, they are the same, right? In y1 and y2, they are equivalent all the way through. So I just typed in the first one, and it actually wound up being the same. And let me just show you what I mean by that. Here you go. Okay. So here is my function, right? I went ahead and typed in the 300 times 1 plus da da da. And then now when I go to the numbers, this is the blue graph, this is the f1 of x, and this is the f2 of x. Okay. So if you see these two numbers here, they are the same. They are exactly or just about the same. So you have to look and see where the y1 and the y2, or the f1 and the f2, where they are the same number. Okay. That is the easiest way that I can explain this. Equivalent means that they have to be the same. So see this 284.246. If I go to the left, 284.246. Okay. It can be a little bit separate, but this is 300, right? This is 308.200. So it winds up that the first one is the one that is equivalent to it. Okay, pretty straightforward. And you can plug in the rest and you'll see that it's not the same thing. All right. Which equation is true for all real values of x? All real values of x. So this is also another calculator question. This is, you go to the graph, type all of these in, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you see which one is true for all of them, right? So this is what I mean by that. You go to f1 of x, and you see how x to the fourth plus x, they're all the same thing. So you plug that under f1 of x, and then you plug in each of these under the f2 of x. So this gets plugged into f2 f2 of x, and you see which one is the same thing. So for question number 4, you'll see that choice 1 is the one that is the same. And if you're like, I don't know how to do it with the graph, you should learn, but you could also sit there and do FOIL here, right? And then you'll see that that also gives you x to the fourth plus x. I feel like we did FOIL a lot with box method. So here you're going to go, this is x, this is plus 1. And then over here, you're going to type in the x to the third minus x squared plus x. And then you do box method here. So this is x to the fourth. This is negative x to the third. This is positive x squared. Over here, this is 1 times x cubed is x cubed. This is negative x squared, and this is positive x. These cancel out, and you're left with x to the fourth plus x. Okay, so algebraically, that is also why 1 works, but the calculator would have given you that as well. Okay, solution. Again, this is also another graph question, right? Plug this under f1 of x, and this is under f2 of x, and then you look and see which one is the same, which is the solution there. All right, so I went ahead and plugged in my graphs. So if I hit tab, this is what I plugged in under F1, right? The left side of the equal sign. Under F2, the right side of the equal sign, and then you hit enter, and then you're looking to see where the graphs intersect. You can see that they actually intersect over here, but let's go ahead and do it. So menu, analyze graph, intersection, and this is where you go to the left, you press the middle, and then you go to the right, you press that, and then you see that they intersect at the number 7. So if I go over here to the question, I know that 7 is the one that they meet at. Are there others? The answer for that is there might be. Let's see, the other one is 3. It does not meet at 3. Right, we can tell. If I go to the table, so menu, and I go to the table, and I go to here. If I go to 3, I have negative 1.5. And then if I go to F2, that's negative 5.5. They are not the same. The other answer choices said negative 3. So let's check negative 3. It's undefined, and this is undefined. But not all undefineds are the same. Okay? Not so you can't be like, oh, they're the same. It's not. uh, different numbers like 0, when 0 is in the denominator, 8 over 0 is undefined and 10 over 0 is undefined. They are not the same thing. The other one was negative 7. This is 1.568, and this is not the same thing. And also, I can prove to you why the negative 3 doesn't work, because if I plug in negative 3 here, right, negative 3 plus 3 is equal to 0. We cannot have a 0 on the denominator. So negative 3 makes it undefined. So that is incorrect. So the only answer choice that makes sense is number 4. Okay, so that's numbers 1 through 5. Question number 6. This question is a straightforward one if you know that you can plug this into the calculator. Okay, so I'm going to just show you this one. So if I go to on, we're going to hit new, no, and we're going to open up a spreadsheet. And over here, this is where we're going to start typing the numbers in. So 0, 49. I'm going to pause it while I just type in the rest. Okay, so once all the numbers are plugged in, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to see, is this an exponential model? Is this a linear? So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to press menu here. We're going to go to statistics. And this is, we are looking to do a regression. So stat calculations. And since the first two, 1 and 2, are exponential regressions, that's this one right here. So our X list, yeah, I did not do that. So I'm going to go over here and just put X. You need to label these, which I did not do, and Y. So let's try that again. Menu, statistics, stat calculations, and I'm going to do exponential. So now I can plug in my X, I can plug in my Y, and then I can hit OK. and it gives me your values, right? So I have 0.03749, and then for the B is 1.0392. And if I look at my answer choices, that is exactly what one says. So that is an exponential. I'll show you why it's not. So this is your A, this is your B. That's not what I got. This one they switched it. Um, I'll show you why it's not a linear. This is a linear expression. So if you go back to the calculator and you hit menu, you do statistics again, stat calculations, and you do y equals mx plus b. And then here you pick your x, and here you pick your y and hit OK. You see how the m is 0.02338. So if I go over here, 0.02338, okay, that could be. And then my b is negative 0.4865, which is okay. So it could be both of those, right? It could be 1 or 3. But we got to remember that when I look at your R value, see this? This is 0.86. And if I look at the exponential one, the one that we had that was choice number 1, you see how this is way better? 0.98, that's closer to 1 whole. Whereas this number is farther away from 1 whole, or just 1 is a perfect correlation. Like it is as close to 1 as possible, or negative 1, which is what we want. So this is the exponential regression is the one that's way better. So the answer choice is 1. Okay. All right. The next one, this is also a graph question, right? I feel like we did this a lot. So put this under F1, put the other ones under F2, and see which one is the same. And this is choice 4 is the one that will work out the same. You could also do this by doing polynomial like the remainder theorem. So we can take x plus 2 and set it equal to 0, minus 2, minus 2. This cancels out, so you get x equals negative 2. And then you could take negative 2. Let me show you how to do this on the calculator. So on new node, add calculator. So we can take negative 2 and we can store it in. So I'm just going to call this whatever. Let's call it B. So B, I'm going to do control, right? That button. And then I'm going to put in negative 2. Cool. And now we're going to plug in the top of our, right? We're going to plug in the top. So this part right here. So 6x to the 4th. 6x to the 4th. And then this is plus 4. That's not what I meant to do. Plus 4x to the 3rd. And then plus x. I'm using the wrong variable. I should be using b. And do you see how it changes into bold? That means that it knows that I'm using b as negative 2. All right, plus b and then plus 200. And when I hit enter, I get 262. So that means that my remainder, when I do this math, the remainder is 262. And here it says the remainder is 166. That's not right. This is 266. That's not right. This is 330. That's not right. 262. Boom. So I could have solved this by doing remainder theorem. Okay, this question right here. This is also a calculator question, right? Plug this under f1 of x, plug this under f2 of x, and see where they meet, where the intersection is. I'm going to do this algebraically just because I feel like we've done this, I hope, a lot. And this is quicker algebraically, right? So the way to do it algebraically is we get the weird thing by itself. This is the weird thing. To get rid of the 6, this is divide both sides by 6. So it cancels out. So we get 2 to the x plus 4 is equal to 6. The opposite of an exponent is log. So we do log. This 2 is our base. It comes on the bottom. The answer to a log is the exponent. So the exponent is x plus 4. And then 6 goes here. So far right now I have log base 2 of 6 is equal to x plus 4. And this is, to get the x by itself, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So minus 4, minus 4. So this cancels out. So I have equals x. I have log base 2 of 6 minus 4. which is the same thing as doing ln. You see how these are under ln? So this is the same thing as doing ln of 6 divided by ln of 2. So ln of 6 divided by ln of 2 minus 4 is equal to x. And if you didn't know that, which you might not have, you could plug it into the calculator and you can see that they're the same thing. All right. Question number 9 is an asymptote question. Asymptote just means that when you have a graph, the graph does not ever touch or cross that line. So you see over here, right, the asymptote is the x-axis because the graph gets very close to the x-axis, but it never goes like this. Like it never goes to the negative side or crosses it. So let's go ahead and do this question by graphing it on that note, okay? So something to note about this, when you're plugging this into the calculator, if there is no base, if there's no number here at the bottom, there's always an imaginary 10. You do need to know that because when you plug it into the graph, you see how it says 5 log and it's going to make you put a number here. So the default is always just 10, okay? So now if we take a look at this, we can see that there is an asymptote, right? The graph comes, if I press menu and I go to trace and I go to graph trace, if I go to the left, you see how these numbers right here, if I keep going, this is negative 3.9 and then it goes negative 4.2 and it says it's undefined. That means that the negative 4 can never be reached. Like that number negative 4, it doesn't cross over that line right there. So now the next question is, this is a vertical line, right? It's a vertical line. So if I take a look and I draw this over here, this is what your graph is going to look like, right? It's going to be something like this. It's going like doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. And then at negative 4, it does not cross, right? It doesn't go like that. So how do we write this? A vertical line is where x equals negative 4. That's the vertical line. The horizontal line is y equals negative 4. That's a line that looks like this. So we want a vertical line, so it's x equals negative 4, which is choice 2. Okay, so question number 9 has an answer of choice 2. All right, question number 10. So this one says, what is the probability of having math homework and having English homework? So the way we do this is probability of A and B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B. And my bad, this is supposed to be the probability of A or B. All right, so it says the probability of having math homework is 1/3. So cool. A is math. And then the probability of having English homework is 1/7. So this is plus 1/7. And this represents English. And then it says the probability of having math homework or having English homework is 9 out of 21. The or, right? That's or. So that number goes here. So now we need to subtract x. We need to solve for what this is, right? So the easy way to do this is to add x to both sides. Now you get the x, right? So it's x plus 9 over 21 is equal to 1/3 plus 1/7. And then you can subtract 9 over 21 from both sides. And then you get the x by itself. Cool. So this becomes a straight calculator question. When you do that, you get 1 over 21. Okay. Plug it in, make sure that you're good. All right. This question is another graph question. All right. Here's f1 of x. Here's f2 of x. You can do this algebraically. My suggestion is if you don't know how to do this algebraically, just do it with a graph. So for this one, you would have to, if you're doing it algebraically, you square both sides. So you get 2x plus 6 and then x minus 1 times x minus 1. So you have to do FOIL here. So you get x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 2x plus 6. Move everything to one side. So minus 2x minus 2x minus 6 minus 6. So you get x squared minus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. And then you double bubble here, so you get x and x, two numbers that add and multiply. So -5 and +1, and you switch signs, so x equals 5 or x equals -1. And then you have to see which one does not work, if at all. So you will see that if you take, so 5 minus 1 is 4, is equal to, and you plug in the 5 here, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 6 is 16, so the square root of 16 is 4. So 5 works. So this is wrong, this is wrong. Okay. Now we need to see if the -1 works. So if you do -1 and you plug it in for x, -1 minus 1 is -2. The square root of a number, right, is positive here, right? There's a like an imaginary plus sign. So I know automatically that the -1 does not work. So the only answer choice that makes sense is 2. Okay. Question number 12 is another question that you can either graph or store a number for and see if it's the same. No one should get this wrong, right? You literally just pick a number for x, like I always say x is equal to 2.1, and then you plug this in, hit enter, plug each of the other ones and see which one matches. Nobody should get any equivalent questions incorrect. All right, this one, number 13, it says which one has a period of 3. The formula for period is 2 pi over b. So over here, your b is 2 pi over 3. So we're going to do period is equal to 2 pi over, and then we're doing 2 pi over 3. When you plug this into the calculator, you're going to get period is 3, which is what we want. Which one has a period of 3? That is choice 1. If you plug in any of the other ones, right, and do this again on your calculator, 2 pi divided by 2 pi over 3, and that answer is 3. Question number 14. So which graph could represent a fourth degree? Fourth degree means that you have something raised to the fourth power. So what you need to know about that is both of the end behaviors go in the same direction. Okay, so either positive, negative. So if it's positive, if the leading coefficient is positive, it's going to be facing up. If it's negative, like negative this, it's going to be facing down, like that, something like that. Okay, so since it says positive, we know it has to be facing up. So anything that's facing down is wrong. So it's not 3 and it's not 4. And then it says 2 real zeros, right? Do you see this? 2 real zeros and 2 imaginary zeros. So what are the zeros, right? Zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. Yes? So this one has 2 of them, whereas this one has 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is not correct because the real zeros, right? Here's one real zero, here's the other real zero. It's where it crosses the x-axis. I feel like we've done this a lot. All right, question number 15. This is also equivalent to, this is by using the store button. So x store in 2.1 again, and then see which one matches with it. You should get choice 4 for this one. Focus and directrix is not going to be on the test for the next gen. So for this one, we can skip that. I'm not worried about that question. All right, the next one, question number 17, which is a solution. This is again, right? You could either take 1.1 wherever you see an x, you can plug in 1.1 here and here, right? And then see if this is a true statement. If that doesn't work, then try the other one, right? And you're looking to see which one is the closest. And for that one, as you do it, you'll see that 3.7 is the one that works. So 3.7 is the answer. Or you can graph both and then see the point of intersection. That's another way you can do this with the calculator. Point of intersection. And like I said, I feel like we did that. That's just a graphing question. Question number 18. Which function represents v of x? Now, length, width, and height get multiplied. Remember this? Volume equals length times width times height. So this is another graph question, right? You can take the length, which is 18 minus 2x, multiplied by the width, which is again 18 minus 2x, and then multiply by the height, which is x, and then you have to see which one of these is equal to, so you can plug this under F1, plug each of the other ones under F2, and see which one is the same, and that is choice 2. Okay, another equivalent one. So same thing, this is can be done on the graph, right? Plug in this and then see which of these answer choices gives you the same, and that is the one. Question number 20. So for this one, you do need to know what is secant. So let's talk about it. Let's go ahead and graph this. So it's in standard position, which means that this is 0. This is where one of the rays has to pass through, and it goes through the point -3, -4. So -3, -4, boom. So this is where it has to go through. We're good so far? Just draft it. So we're looking to see which is the one that could be there, right? So if we take a look at this, in this quadrant, both the x and the y are both negatives, right? So the first one is cos, the second one is sine. If you take cos, right, and you flip it, like 1 over cos is equal to secant, SEC. So that means that secant is negative here and cosecant is negative in this quadrant. This is quadrant 3. Okay, quadrant 3. So let's see which one says that, right? Secant is going to be a negative number, which it's less than 0 here. And now what do we know about tangent in quadrant 3? Tangent is equal to y over x. In this case, it's equal to sine over cosine. So if we know that sine and cosine are both negative numbers, negative divided by a negative is a positive. So in quadrant 3, right, in this quadrant, tangent is positive. So which one says that? Secant is negative. Which one says secant is negative and tangent is positive? So let's see. This one says secant is positive. That's wrong. This one says secant is negative. Okay, that's true. And this one says tangent is negative. That's wrong. This one says secant is positive. That's not what we want. This one says secant is negative and tangent is positive. So the answer choice is choice 4. This question here is straight calculator. Let's take our calculator. It's very important that you do know how to do this. No, you go away. Didn't. So you go to menu. We are going into algebra, and you're going to solve system of linear equations. There are 3 variables here. When you press tab, it puts in the x, y, and the z. And then now you just literally plug that whole thing into the calculator. So 3x plus 4y. I'm going to just do 1 with you. So 3x plus 4y. See this? Minus. That's the minus sign. Don't hit the negative sign. Minus 5z. And then equals is here. And then negative 27. Make sure that you know the difference between the negatives and the minus sign. And then you plug in each of the other ones, and it's asking you, the question says, what is the value of y? So it'll give you the answer as x, y, and z. So y is equal to 3 is the answer. That's a straight calculator question. Question 22. So this one's asking you, based on the table, n and w are independent events. Let n represent da 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 and w represent da da da. Based on the table, are they independent? Okay. So what do we know about independence, right? We know that when you have probability of n and or times the probability of w, if they are independent, it is equal to the probability of n and w. that is the formula for independence. And that should be on your formula booklet, except with letters. So let's see. So probability of n, right? If we look, n is work nights. So work nights, the total is 20 out of, and the total here, let's go ahead and just add this. So that's 20, this is 100, this is 72, and this is 48. So the total here is 120. All right, so 20 over 120. Then we're going to multiply that by probability of W, and W represents works weekends. So works weekends is 48. All right, so we're going to do 48 out of 120. And we have to see if that is equal to the probability of N and W. So N is work nights, right? Works nights. And W is works weekends, which is here. So what is the number that overlaps, right? That's 8 over 120. And we have to see if this is true. So this is a calculator question, right? And you can see that that is true. So the answer is yes, because that does work. Probability of n times the probability of w is equal to the probability of n and w. Question 23 is a store button question, right? So x store in 2.1, y store in I use 3.7. You can do whatever you want. Plug this into the calculator, hit enter, and then match and see which one matches with it. And that is choice 3. 3 is the one that should work. 24. This is usually a question that they always ask. How much money will be earned over the first 10 years? So this is a summation question, right? Let me just pause real quick. All right. So on your formula booklet, you'll see this one over here, right? I don't know if you can, that one. So it is telling you that there's a percent growth. So this indicates that it's a geometric series. So that's the formula that you're going to use. A1 represents how much it is initially. So that is 90,000. Okay. Times 1 minus R is your rate. And it's telling you it's a 2% increase. So 1.02. This is 2% is 0.02. You add it to one whole and then you get 1.02. So we're going to do minus 1.02 to the n. The n is over the first 10 years, so we're going to go like that to the 10 over 1 minus r, which again is 1.02. So this is a calculator question, and you're going to get 985,475. Okay, so that's the multiple choice. Okay, you're going to have to excuse my dog from, she's like flipping out because she wants my attention. But anyway, 33 minutes and we are done with the first part, the multiple choice. Okay. All right. Second part. I was shocked how many of us got this incorrect. So they gave you the function. Okay. They gave you this. You just plug it into the calculator. You can tell right away that there is an asymptote here, right? Like it never crosses into the negatives on the x-axis is the lowest that the graph gets to. And even if you were to like hit menu, you go to trace and graph trace and you go to the left. Just watch real quick. Do you see this? You see how these numbers in the y are getting very close to zero? You see that? And it moves the graph over. Cool. It's very close to zero, but it never gets negative. That means that this is an asymptote, okay? This right here, these numbers point that e to the negative 7, that just means times 10 to the negative 7. That is not a negative number. All right, so anyway, long story short, okay? We have something important here, the y-intercept, right? Do you see this? The y-intercept is at 0, comma 3.2. So when you go here, you go to 3, you go a little bit past 3, and that's where you put your dot. And you label it 0, comma 3.2. Cool. Next thing to earn points, right? You should have, when you graph, you need to have exact coordinates. So you're going to go to menu, you're going to go to table, you're going to go to split screen, and you're going to graph this the best of your ability, okay? 1, comma 5.76. You're going to go to your graph. Don't get lazy. 1, comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.76. Cool. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm using exact points. You can't just go, ta-da! You cannot do that. You have to be exact as possible. Okay? All right, so that's 2 points. And then you go again. 2, comma, 10.368. So you go to 2, right? You go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.368. Do you see what I'm doing? So if I'm doing this as your teacher, you should not be getting lazy. Then you go over here to this side, negative 1, 1.77. So negative 1, right? Positive 1.77. Do you see what I'm doing, right? So now you have a couple of things to graph. We're going to go again. Negative 2, that's about 1. So negative 2, right? Positive 1. So that indicated to me that I did something wrong with this one. Let's check what I did wrong. Negative 1, 1.77, right? I did not do that. Negative 1, 1.77. Do you see that? I just caught my own mistake, okay? So now I have enough to kind of go like this. I see that the graph, I'm going to do my best in connecting it on the computer. It's a little bit harder. This should be a little bit easier on your paper. And then I'm going to go up again. So negative 3.5, and I'll do that. Negative 3.5. Do you see this? So now I have enough points, and I need to make sure. Let me take this back. I need to make sure that whoever's grading me knows I know that the x-axis is an asymptote. So I am not touching that x-axis. You see what I'm doing? Let's try that again. Make it a little bit bigger, right? And I'm going to go like that. I'm not going to touch the x-axis, and I'm going to make my line, okay? And that would indicate that you know that the x-axis is the asymptote. So x-axis is the asymptote. And that's how you get full points for this question, okay? No willy-nillying this. Is x plus 3 a factor of? So we did a problem like this with remainder theorem. Okay, so you go x plus 3 equals 0, and then you get negative 3. So x equals negative 3, and then you store that in to the calculator, and then you're going to plug that into x, 7x to the third plus 27x squared plus 9x minus 27. So every time there's an x here, you're going to plug in negative 3. And when you do that, you're going to get 0. And if the remainder is 0, it is a factor. Okay? If the remainder is 0, it is a factor. So the answer to this question is yes. You literally need to say yes. And then your justification is what we just did right now, right? If you have f of 3 and you plug that in, you get 0. So then you say the remainder is 0, therefore x plus 3 is a factor. And that's your justification, okay? For this next one, whenever we have 4 terms here, you're always going to, whenever my computer stops bugging out, let's see, here we go, okay. So whenever you have 4 terms, you're just going to split it down the middle. So you factor the left, you factor the right, okay? So over here on the left-hand side, we're going to pull out a 2 because that's the greatest common factor. Just pause this real quick. All right, I saw baby ducks and I had to stop. Okay, anyway. So a 2 is the greatest common factor between 2 and 10 because it's the largest number that goes into both. Between x to the 4th, 2, 3, 4, and x to the 3rd, there are 3 x's that are in common. So we're going to take out 3 and bring it out. So what is left, right? What's left is just an x minus, and if a 10 divided by 2 is 5, and x to the 3rd, 3 of them are out, cool. So that's all you have factored on the left-hand side. On the right side, we're going to factor out a 3x, and then we're going to write down what's left, x minus 5. Cool. So now I'm noticing something else, okay? I'm also noticing that I could have done something a little bit different. I just realized that before I do all of that, there is an x that goes into all of these. Do you see that? There's an x I could have taken out. So then I'm left with 2x to the third minus 10x squared plus 3x. Let me move this over. Minus 15. Now I could do what I did, right? Factor this out. So I have a 2 again. Can't forget this x all the way in the front here. So there is a 2 that's common, and then there's x squared, and I have x minus 5. Cool. On this side, I have a 3 that's common between the 3 and the 15, and I have x minus 5. Cool. So what is common here, right? What's common here is this x minus 5. So I can take the x minus 5 and I can write it down once, and I write down everything that's left over. So the 2x squared, and then the 3 plus 3, and then I can't forget the x from here, okay? So this is factored as much as possible. It's question 27. All right, question 28. As soon as I see normally distributed, see this? That's a key right there. So that is telling me that I need to do normal distribution. So normal CDF is what I need to do in my calculator. So let's see where that is. Let's go to the calculator. Let's turn this on. New, no, add calculator. So we're going to hit menu. This is under statistics. And you're going to go down to distribution. You see this? Distribution. And we never use normal PDF. So we're going to go to normal CDF right here. And in reading the question, it says determine the percentage, right, greater than 6. So the lowest number, we're going to have a 6. Greater than 6 is any number that is very, very big, right? If this is talking about normally distributed, so I'm just going to pick a big number. So upper bound is 99999. This U symbol just means mean, and it tells you in the problem that the mean is 5.2%. So we're just going to put 5.2. And the standard deviation, it tells us, is 1.6. So I'm going to put 1.6. And then you're going to hit OK. And it gives you, right, 0.3085. So then I go to my question. I put down what I put into the calculator. 6, 100, the mean was 5.2. And the standard deviation is 1.6, and this answer was 0.308, which is about 31%, right? It says to the nearest integer, so that is 31%. All right, so that's question number 28. Question number 29. So models depth, right? So this is a cosine graph. Cosine starts at the max, goes down and comes back over. Cool. So it's telling us that we are looking for the minimum point, right? How much this is. And you can graph this 100%. Okay. So let us do that. I'm going to go back here. New, no, add graph. Okay. So we're going to just type in the function 2. You can hit trig. You can go to cos. And then you put in your fraction. So control division. And then it's pi. Pi is over here on this side. So pi. I is also there, just so you know. So pi over 6. And then we're going to go, instead of t, we're going to put x. And then we're going to go outside it and put plus 5. So we're going to graph the function. Enter. Nobody should get this wrong. And we are looking for the minimum, right? So menu, we're going to go to trace, graph trace, and we are looking for the minimum point. Boom. Doesn't it give it to you? The minimum is 3, right? It's the y coordinate here. You see what we're doing? So that's one of the points. And if I were to keep going, I can see that my minimum again is at 3, right? If I keep going, it's at 3. It'll tell you in a second. There you go. Minimum is at 3. All right. So all of that to say, we just graphed it, and we can say that this point here is at 3. So 3 is the minimum point. All right. That's question number 29. Question number 30. We're doing good. So this is writing the amount of coffee half-life. Cool. That means that in the parentheses, you are going to have a half. in the beginning is what you started with. So we are starting with 130, okay? And then it says the half-life is 5.5 hours. So we're going to take our t and divide it by whatever that half-life number is. And it says to write it as a function. So c of t is equal to. So this is your whole equation. That is the answer to question number 30. That's straightforward, okay? This one says determine the number of hours that each of the two races took. Equivalent rate, so we're going to do 55 over t and set it equal to 65 over t plus 3. You could have solved this in middle school. This is cross multiplying. So we have 65t is equal to 55t plus 55 times 3. This is distributed property. That is 165. Cool. We're going to get the t's on one side. Cancel, so we get 10t is equal to 165. And then divide both sides by 10 and you get t equals 16.5. That's one of the races, right? So t is 16.5. Then the other race is in t plus 3. So t plus 3 is 16.5 plus 3 is 19.5. So these are the two amounts of time that you need to write for question 31. All right, we're almost done. Solve algebraically, which means that here you're going to have to do quadratic formula. So a is 1, b is 3, and c is 11. So negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So opposite of b, whatever the b is, you're going to do the opposite. So this is negative 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 11 all over 2 times 1. So we take whatever's under the radical and you just plug it into the calculator. You're going to get, most of us got this. So negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 35 all over 2 times 1, which is 2. Now, anytime there's a negative under a radical, right, what comes out? An I always comes out. 35 is radical 7 times radical 5. You can't break this down any further. So negative 3 plus or minus, the I comes out, radical 35. We're good? And this is all over 2. Since the question says write it in a plus bi form, let's back up. We're going to divide this by 2 and divide this by 2. So your final answer, negative 3 over 2 plus or minus I radical 35 over 2. This is your final answer for the question. All right. This one, I was shocked at how many people got this wrong. Average rate of change. As soon as you hear that, it's our first lesson. That's what should come to mind. So 1950, right? Where's 1950? It says how many years since 1900. So that is 50 years after. And then 2020 is going to be 120 years after 1900. So that's this one. So we are going to find our, right? Here's our x1, here's our x2, here's our y1, here's our y2. And you're just going to plug that in, right? So this is for India, the population of India. So we're going to do 1380 minus 376.3 divided by 120 minus 50. And so India is about 14.3. Okay, that's for India. Then for China, you have to plug it in here into this equation. So when you do that, you take whatever that number is, right? Plug in the 120, plug in the 50, and you're going to get that the average rate of change for China, average rate of change is 13.5. It's asking you which one has a greater. So which one has a greater? India does, because 14.3 is, right, is greater than 13.5. So India has a higher average rate of change. All right, that is for the 4 points. Question 34. As soon as you see middle 95%, mean, plus or minus 2 times the standard deviation. That's right here. So 42.029 plus or minus 2 times 3.105. Your two numbers are 35.82, and then the other one is 48.24. Once you put this into the calculator and you round it to the nearest hundredth. Okay, that was the answer to the first part. Then it says, is the time 49.8 seconds unusual? And the answer to that is yes, because 49.8 falls outside, right? So it is unusual, and you can literally just say that because 49.8, let me write this better. Stop getting lazy, Varghese. 0.8 falls outside of the confidence interval. Okay, forgive my handwriting. All right, we're almost done. Question 35. Is the f of x an even function? What is even? Remember, it's symmetrical with respect to the y-axis. If I fold it down the y-axis, they look the same. Okay, so is it symmetrical? So the graph of y equals 2 to the x looks something like this. That is not symmetrical because if I fold it on the on the y-axis, it is not the same on the left side and the right side. So the answer to this is no. And you could say because not symmetrical to the y-axis. Okay. So write an equation for g of x, the function that results after f of x is shifted up 5 units. So g of x is equal to f of x plus 5. That's all you had to write. Or you can actually plug in f of x, so you could say 2 to the x plus 5. Either one of those answers was correct. Then it says write an equation for h of x, the inverse of g of x. Okay, so what does inverse mean again? We have y equals 2 to the x plus 5, right? Inverse means you flip that. X equals 2 to the y plus 5. Now get the y by its. So technically, you could be done right there. But if you're like, let me go further, then you do minus 5 minus 5. Cool. So you get x minus 5 is equal to 2 to the y. Is the y by itself yet? No. So you got to do log, right? This is the log thing. The base is 2. The answer to a log is the exponent, so we're going to get the y. And then the x minus 5 gets put over here next to this x minus 5. So either one of these answers. I would have stopped right there and been done. All right, question 36. We're doing good, I think. All right, so let's get this y by itself. So add y, add y. So you get x plus y is equal to 6. Got to get the y by itself by subtracting x. Or you could, it depends. It's up to you. So 6 minus x. So I got the y by itself on the second one. And now wherever I see a y, right? Yeah, wherever I see a y here, I can plug in 6 minus x. So let me do that. So now I'm going to go over here, bring this down. I have x minus 4 squared plus, instead of y, I'm going to put 6 minus x. And then don't forget this minus 1. Minus 1 squared is equal to 9. Okay. Then you do FOIL here. So x minus 4 times x minus 4 plus 6 minus 1 is 5. No. What? I messed up something. What did I mess up? Hold on. Ah, I got it. All right, so I messed up over here. Forgive me. You see what happens when you go too fast? Okay, so I added y to both sides, and then I have x equals 6 plus y. To get the y by itself, I do minus 6. So I get x minus 6 is equal to y. So let me fix this. Okay. Here, instead of y, we're going to do x minus 6, and then there's a minus 1. That's better. So this is going to be x minus 7 times x minus 7, right? Because this is negative 7, and its squared is equal to 9. So we got to do FOIL here. So x squared, I'm going to ask you to do that on your own, plus 16. I'm doing this in my head. I know, I get it. X squared minus 14x plus 49 is equal to 9. I've done this so many times that I can do this. Combine like terms. So we get 2x squared. This is minus 22x. And 16 plus 49 is 56. Is equal to 9. We're going to move the 9 over, get it equal to 0. So 2x squared minus 22x. This would be great if it's a even number. So this is plus This is what happened when I go quick. X squared plus 8x minus 8x plus 16 plus x squared minus 14x plus 49. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's including, so this is going to be equal to 0. Plus equals 9, and then this is going to be, when I move all of that over, 16 plus 49. So that's going to be 56 equals 0. So 65 minus 9 is equal to 0. So this is going to be 56. Cool. Now, this is great because I can divide everything by 2, right? Divide everything by 2. I'm not dividing by 0, so I get x squared minus 11x plus 28 is equal to 0. This is a lot easier to factor. So I get x and x minus 7 minus 4. That works. Yeah, cool. So I get x is equal to 7 and x is equal to 4. Those are my two answers. Now, to get the y's, I have to go back and plug it back in, right? So I can plug it into this right here. So if x is 7, 7 minus 6 is going to be 1. So one of my coordinates is 7 comma 1. And then if I take 4, 4 minus 6 is equal to negative 2. So I have 4 comma and negative 2. So my two solutions are here, 7 comma 1 and 4 comma negative 2. I could have plugged both of these into the graph and then seen where they intersect. But since it's set to do it algebraically, I have to do it that way. All right, almost done. Last question. Thank you, Jesus. All right. All right, so for the next one. So offers, there's two choices, right? One of them is America. So AFT. So let's talk about America. America's bank offers 6% compounded quarterly. Okay, compounded quarterly. So what do we know about that, right? We go to the first number. So the first number is 1200, and then compounded quarterly is going to be 1 plus, okay? It is 6.4%, which is 0.064. So I'm going to put divided by 0.064. There's a formula here, 0.064 divided by, what does it get compounded by? Quarterly, which means 4. And then the exponent is going to be 4t. Whatever number is here also goes in the exponent. So that's the function for AFT, or America. Barnyard Bank, BFT, gets compounded continuously, which is APERT. A equals PERT. Okay? So what's our P? 1200 again, right? Times, this is E. The rate is, for Barnyard, is 6.35%, which is 0.0635, and then 35, cool, and then T. So that's the formula for the bank Barnyard. Okay, so there are two formulas. The other one is A equals P, times 1 plus r over t to the tn power or nt, however you want to say it. Whatever number goes on the bottom goes on the top, whatever it gets compounded by. Okay. So I should actually put the n. This is r over n to the nt. All right. So now Taylor wants to invest for 10 years, making no additional. So which one will she earn more money for? So you're going to plug in 10 in for the t for each one. So A of t, well, we're going to plug in 10, is going to equal 1200 times 1 plus 0.064 over 4 to the 4 times 10, and that amount is going to be about 2264.28, and this is money, right? So this is how much money in America's bank, and then the Barnyard Bank B of 10 is going to equal 1200 e to the 0.0635 times 10, and when you plug this into the calculator, you're going to get 2264.43. So which one is more money? Not by a lot, but whatever. Barnyard is going to be the better bank. And that's the justification. All right. Last part. So Taylor chooses to invest in Barnyard. Cool. Algebraically to the nearest 10, how long will it take her initial to triple? Okay. So her initial was 1200. So what is that tripled? 3600. Okay. So she's using Barnyard. So that's e to the 0.0635t. So we want to know how much that is. You can do n solve here. I'm just going to show you how to do this algebraically. Divide both sides by 1200. So you get 3 is equal to e to the 635t. How do you get rid of e? You ln both sides. So ln of e to the 0.0635t is equal to ln of 3, right? And then this cancels out. So you get 0.0635t is equal to ln of 3. Divide both sides by 0.0635. And like I said, you can do n solve. I'm just showing this for anybody who cares. This cancels out. So you're going to get t is about 17.3. So t is about 17.3. So that is to the nearest 10th of a year. So this is years. All right. I'm sorry that took a while, but I feel like you got something out of it. A little bit more than an hour. Not bad. All right. Thank you. Love you.